everyone. Welcome to another episode of Words of Heart. In today's episode, we have the humorous privilege of speaking with Floyd Jordan. Thank you for joining me today, Floyd.
Thank you. It's fun to have you or to be with you. It's already fun. I'm in my closet. I'm laughing. It's enjoyable.
Absolutely. So, Floyd, if you could tell my listeners a bit about yourself from your closet, that would be great.
I do like I'm a weird man. I'm a single dad. And so when you have a 15-year-old kid, there's like two places in life where you get a little respite, you get a little peace and quiet, and that's the restroom or your closet. So I got to have the closet available to get the business done, you know. Um Yeah, no, I mean, super curious person. I do life coaching. I've done that for a couple of years, and I'm kind of trying to I've done more of the one-on-one stuff, and that's been fun. But kind of like anything in life, what's the adage? Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And so now I'm like, man, it's like anything in life. You kind of have to decide how you want to reinvent yourself, how you want to go from here. So yeah, I do that. I'm kind of scaling back the amount of clients I'm taking on. And then yeah, I love just reading, learning stuff. I'm infinitely stupid, so I just keep learning and realizing how stupid I am, which is fun for me. Um, yeah, and I like to have awesome conversations with beautiful women in my closet. That's it.
Oh, you're like cracking me up already. Considering you mentioned you're a life coach, correct? I don't want to get confused here.
Yeah.
Um, how do you what specifically do you help your clients with? Because I know there's many different life coaches and mindset coaches who have different ideas as far as helping their clients. What's your go-to method? If you have a method, that is.
Oh, well, that's a good point. I think that's important for you. A lot of people don't ask that question. But for me, I think that the big I don't care what guru it is or it's coach or anything or all they do is they pick your pocket and they sell it back to you. You know, so that's kind of my approach, and I believe that I think that everybody kind of has the own answers to their own problems, like inside of them, their own puzzles, let's say. But well, just like right now, unless we walk around our life, we can't even see our own face unless we got a mirror, unless we got this Zoom thing going on. We can't even see our own face, right? And so that's kind of my personal like method, if I were to say I have one, is really just kind of that radical acceptance part of it. So really accepting people as who they are, letting that kind of come out, helping them explore things. And then the other part that'd be kind of the quintessential part to that is just, and there's different ways we can word it, but the idea of just being mindful, like cultivating that. Well, it's like when I have this cup here, has delicious Turkish coffee in it. I'm trying to put it up to that, and I love it. And we forget though the value of a cup is its emptiness. And it can be a gold cup. And we can have a little John Crunk. We can have any kind of cup we want. But if we can't have it be empty, then we really can't fill it up with what we want. So maybe that's some people have had a lot of women, especially with anxiety or, could be anger issues. These kinds of things maybe could be just little neurotic addictions that we all kind of fall into. But the idea to be able to really be mindful of that and to be able to empty that cup, to be able to let go of those things. Um, those are kind of like the way I like to go about it.
Interesting. And I love your metaphor with emptying a cup. There's that other saying that the glass is half full or half empty. I love your idea of emptying the cup. For myself personally, and some of my audience kind of grasp this a little bit, but I've had many anxiety induced issues. Just to name a few off the top of my head, even though 25 seems like everything is coming together mentally, sort of. I've experienced sexual harassment when I was younger, well, in the school system, not so much outside of the school system. I felt invisible. I felt rejection. I've questioned my own existence. What else? I did have suicidal thoughts when I was younger. I didn't make any attempts, thank goodness, or else I wouldn't be here. But I do understand the whole emotions and bottling them up and not knowing how to understand them or how to deal with them. And many people don't have a particular outlet as to figure out how to deal with them. I had my faith, which I'm really centered in. So that was sort of my catapult or anchor, if you will, to keep me centered and remind me that, hey, I do have a purpose in this world and my life is worth living. And to further emphasize my point, that's also why I started this podcast, to sort of give people, like, I guess I like to think of my podcast as their own personal anchor in a way, because I know many people don't have much of a belief system, which is their prerogative. I'm not like trying to force my belief system down people's throats, but I think it's important to remind people that they are cared for and they do have a reason for being on this earth and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of been through a lot and you've had to find ways through that. What do we do? I mean, gosh, everybody, we go through so much, and that's terrible, whether you got school people that are supposed to be mentors and they're sexually harassing you, or people that we think should care for us and they don't. It makes it hard to kind of navigate that.
Yeah. And just to further emphasize my own struggle, I did have health deficiencies growing up, so that made things a lot more complicated as well. But I powered through it with a smile on my face, and I overcome a lot of obstacles, which I tend to forget about sometimes. I also got diagnosed with diabetes at the start of the pandemic last year. So to further the crazy anxiety meter, having a drastic health change during a virus, which at this point can inevitably kill you because the vaccine wasn't even really in the works at that point. I'm like totally mixing up my thought process here. But
it's a lot, like you said, with the pandemic, it comes, and then you find out you have diabetes, and then you also have all of these other causes in life. And it's hard to let go of those thoughts, because they race in our head, and we forget that we're not those thoughts. Those are just thoughts.
Right. Our thoughts do have a tendency to run rampant. And again, not many people have a source or don't know how to actually go about dealing with it. And that's basically what birthed this podcast. I like to be a nice virtual hug for those who need some comfort during this crazy time. So.
Oh, that's awesome, Dion. That's a beautiful thing. I think that someone told me once, you have to share it to keep it.
I don't think
it sounds like you're.
Well, it's just to further your point, share it to think it. I think that's what you specified.
No, you have to share it to keep it.
Share it to keep it. Okay.
I should probably adjust this little.
Share it to keep it. Well, yeah, I do think it's important to share and not to keep things bottled up. We all have a story that's significant in our development as humans. I have a story, you have a story, you like to go to your closet.
Oh, shots fired. Okay, I see how it is. We're sharing. You throw me under the bus, Dion. Okay. I'm just kidding.
You like to go to your closet to have some sanctity of peace. Each of our stories can help somebody else in some way. So I do think it's very important that we share it.
Yeah, I mean, well, and even on top of that, I think that as we share something, then we really start to, well, if you teach someone another language, say you teach someone English, you start to learn English better. Or if I, again, with my clients, I could see like, oh, I'm such an expert in whatever. But as I share that with them, I get to approach it from a new way, a new angle. And then I get to learn it even better. And so, yes, it is, you share it, like these things you're talking about, you share these things, but I'm sure as you've gotten used to talking about the issues of your past, whether it be sicknesses, illnesses, butthole people in the world, it helps you kind of manage it and let go. You get more comfortable with it. It doesn't pull you like it used to.
Right. I can definitely say it doesn't pull me. It probably did when I was younger because it was difficult. I was that little girl who tried to make friends, but nobody would want to be friends with her. And I'm like, why does nobody want to be my friend? But I'm a grown adult, so that's not that much of an issue for me. And those people are just weird and don't want to experience the awesomeness that is me.
Yeah.
So
And they're anxious too. They're very anxious and angry too. They got their own poo of brewing, if you know what I mean.
Right, absolutely. And we all have our issues and our struggles. Nobody's perfect. Anyone who has that persona of perfect mentality, I think they're absolutely lying. They just aren't vulnerable or are too stubborn to actually share it because they don't want to seem weak.
Yeah, everyone has to put up this little tough guy face.
Exactly. Speaking of mentality in general, how have you been doing with this pandemic? Because obviously you're a mindset coach, so your whole lifestyle is to help others with their anxiety. How have you how has that helped with your field of work considering the pandemic right now?
I mean, again, how are we saying how? Like at first, it was monetarily, fiscally beautiful, okay? Because again, if the government's giving people money, people have more money to buy things. My services included in that. But again, it's one of those things where I didn't realize, you know, well, again, I kind of got into this long story made incredibly short, and we can go back to this later. But just to as far as the pandemic now is when I started this journey, um, 4 or 5 years ago, or I guess my son's 15 now. So when he was like 7, I found out, surprise, his mom was addicted to heroin and that she had been stealing his money in video games and using it to buy heroin. And I was kind of getting mad at my kid for losing his stuff. So then I had to apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry for doing that. Your mom actually stole them, and I don't know when you're going to see her again. And then compounding that, I found out that heroin, because I didn't, again, when his mom and I were young, she was 16 when she got pregnant. I was 17. And, we smoked weed, we drank beer, but we all kind of knew heroin was not a good thing to mess with. Right. And I'm not judging. So, but this happens. And then I start doing research on it and I find out that the doctor's prescription I'm getting for Percocet is exactly the same thing as heroin, right? Or it's the same, it's an opioid. And so then I kind of had to look at my kid in the eye and realize he had one parent who was addicted, and I was giving him another one and ensuring that he had 100% of his parentage was addicted. And I was very much in an achievement, like sales, traveling sales guy, that mindset. And so I woke up and I just didn't want to be addicted. I didn't want to give that to my kid anymore. And I started going into mental health and I went to school for psychology. And again, she ended up passing away of an overdose and all those kinds of things that happened. But for the pandemic, so the reason I say all this is when the pandemic started, my initial goal was I wanted to make my living, be able to support my family, just spending time one-on-one helping people through their stuff, right? That's what I really wanted to do. And I worked it. I found ways to make it happen in the pandemic, but then, it kind of becomes, um, it was just too much. Let's just say. So at the beginning of it was like but it all comes with highs and lows. No one's perfect. I'm not going to be able to help everybody with all the shots, And so one in particular had a client who passed away. And it was kind of like a situation that reminded me of my son's mother in some way. So that was kind of like depressing, and it kind of hit me in this state where I'm now, where it's like, so I still want to help people. I want to do that. But I realized with the pandemic that I wasn't going to be able to take care of myself, and also have my business model built from one-on-one service fees with people. And so, yeah, that was kind of hard, up until recently, because again, I want to do it. That's what I wanted to do. We set these goals in our head, right? You want to make this thing happen. And then you wake up and you're like, man, maybe this isn't good for my kidneys, like I'm gaining weight. I feel depressed and anxious. Maybe this isn't, um, so yeah, that kind of woke me up with the pandemic that, yeah, I was able to make, $3,000-$4,000 a month, help them. That's great. But that came at another tax to my mind. And so that's kind of what the pandemic is kind of teaching me and where I'm at with it now.
Interesting. So I do have that icebreaker question I mentioned. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stump you though.
Stump me, come on now. Don't sell yourself short. I'm stupid. It's fact. That's my kid. That's my mama. They'll tell you the truth.
Anyhow, so if you could have any superpower that's not flying, I'll try to make it more difficult. That's not flying or mind reading or super strength or super speed. You can't have any of those powers I just mentioned. What power would you have? And it can even be a made up one. It just can't include the ones I just mentioned, since I want to make it further difficult for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dion, right? Am I saying it right again? Dion? Okay. Yep. Thanks, Dion. I would say, and this is something that I really love to do in life with not just my clients, but anybody. I really, let's say, help them see, not words,
okay,
but see the truth, see reality. Like, again, we see a lot of times the bad things in our life. We don't see the totality of it, right? That good comes with bad, that peaks come with valleys, that highs have to have low, that if you say left, that also means right, that these things just go together. And if I had a superpower, I would really love to help people kind of see that truth, like to see that. And this isn't a preachy truth. I'm not saying commandments. No,
I get it.
It's that ineffable thing, that I think it would kind of wake people up, and then it would stop a lot of the silly stuff we do now.
That would be a really cool power for people to see the reality and the truth. And man, I'm actually kind of jealous of that power a little bit, but the power that the power that I would have would be, and it's sort of a made up power. I've always had a go-to answer for this one, and I only changed it recently to keep things more fun. So if I could have a power, it would be the power for this podcast to be heard across other galaxies that have yet to be discovered.
Okay.
Intergalactic broadcasting. if that was a thing, which I'm sure it will be in like another 50 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, see, I'm a nerd with the science stuff too. Like, I've been deep into quantum mechanics and I still don't understand it enough. But what you're making me think about, well, this is kind of, imagine there's no ears. Like, could it be heard without ears?
Uh, Dang it. That's, I didn't think of that.
I'm not trying to rain on your parade here,
I
Dion.
didn't think of that. See, it's because I made fun of the fact that you were talking to me in a closet and now you're downing my power. That's why you took out the ears.
I'm not, no, no, you okay? Well, I think this is back to what I was saying. I think it's a beautiful thing. Again, well, we look up at the stars at night and we
Okay.
see these bright white freaking things shining,
Okay.
but we forget that if not for it being held by the blackness, you could have no white.
Okay.
That you could have no and again, I'm all into different religions and I read a lot of the texts. I would probably just identify as more agnostic myself, meaning that I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I read them all. I think there's good things, but I think it's important either way to realize that that's a beautiful thing. It's like somehow the sight, it like it has to happen. My eyes and light all together. Like if I take one of them away, it doesn't work. Like this is a beautiful sounding podcast, but if not for a beautiful human to hear it with ears, then is it
Okay. Okay.
like to a rock? I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I'm still
no, no, no. I kind of get your scientific nerd logic within that span.
okay. Shots fired.
But I get it. But I like to think that in other galaxies, whatever those galaxies may be, even if they don't have physical ears, there's another way to hear my podcast, I am sure. Whether it's through your hands or your heart. That's one poetic way of putting it.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
There is. I I want to again. I love you. I'm pushing back a little bit just because I gotta be honest.
Okay.
I don't know if there's. Well, I don't know if I can get white without black. I don't know if I can get a top without a bottom. So
Okay.
I think there again. This is why I'm a different on the spectrum of life coaches. I do not believe like
Okay.
if you believe you shall achieve because that's
No,
I don't know
no,
if that makes sense.
no, it makes sense. And you're being realistic. That would explain the different dynamic we both have. I'm more sun and you're more moon, if that makes sense.
Okay, I'm not. You
Different,
can keep explaining.
different spectrums of thought, but the same cohesive goal, which is to help someone. If
Absolutely.
right.
But
So
what I don't want to do is lie because then I get into like if I think I'm giving you the right directions and I really believe in my heart, three lefts and a right, but it's not three lefts and a right, it's three rights and you know what I mean?
no, I get it.
Uh,
And no, I get it. And again, many people have hopped on here with completely different ideas of thought than my own. So you're welcome to share your thoughts. That's the thing about world. We all have ideas and thoughts that are our own, and they may not make sense. They may make sense, they may not make sense, but the world isn't really supposed to make sense.
well, and I agree, but the world we live in, it does not exist just like top and bottom. It doesn't exist unless there's an opinion just like you. Like there's no way a person Floyd Jordan could exist in a world that did not have Dion. There's just no way. Like and no matter what you believe, God, atoms, I could break it down scientifically or spiritually. It is just, and that's the beauty of it. I can't see on my own face. As you talk back to me, you see a different part of my perspective that I can't see because I'm the one holding the stinking thing, And it's beautiful. So I appreciate that.
No problem. We can keep talking about the galactic universe and our own different ideas of thought. But we have done this awesome conversation, even though I'm pretty sure you're enjoying this conversation from your closet.
Okay, listen, what's wrong with a closeted conversation? I'm in the dark arts here, I'm friggin' show you my friggin' this is a sweatshirt, right? How many people have shown you their sweatshirts in this podcast? You know what? Got my house shoes on right here. How you feel about that? I just pulled them out. How many people can do that? Not many in your podcast, I bet you that.
No, this is a first. Well, Floyd, do you have any social plugins or other shoe items to divulge to my guests as to where they could find you before we wrap up here?
I mean, if I was gonna say something, I would simply implore them to, again, make sure, screw me, find yourself and get quiet. Because when all this is happening, this is everybody else telling you what, every book you read, that's everybody else telling you what you should be, but when you get real quiet,
Okay.
then you hear it. And that's the most important thing I could ever implore someone to subscribe to.
Interesting. I would.
What? Do it. Say something to me.
I would get a text message during this recording.
But no, hey, look, I'm in a closet. You're getting texts. We're having fun. You ain't sung yet. I want to see some singing. Come on, Dion. I want to see some singing.
Well, for my guests who aren't part of the first part of this conversation, Floyd and I were joking about the fact that I do not do karaoke on my podcast. And he wants me to sing. I am not going to sing. I am not a singer, even though my name is Dion. I'm not Celine Dion. I'm not Dionne Warwick. I'm not any other Dion that sings. I am Dion, the heart warrior that you know, who does poetry and graphic arts. I do not sing. I will, if you want to hear me sing, come to Florida and hear me sing. But I do not sing, and I already make enough of my dorkiness revealed on this podcast enough as it is. So
got to keep some things in the closet, huh?
Yes. Can't stop laughing. Thank you, Floyd, for this very enlightening and humorous conversation.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, don't judge yourself. You're a singer. You don't have to be Celine Dion. Okay. When you're in the freaking shower and you're like, oh, yeah. And you're just hitting the high notes. I know you hit the high notes in the shower. I've seen a face like that before. Go hit your high notes in the shower. Thank you very much for your time. And like I said, if I can do anything else to help you out, feel free to let me know.
Will do. To all my listeners who are enjoying this conversation, stay healthy, stay safe. Feel free to sing karaoke in your own showers if you will. And until next time. Bye.
See ya.